Hi, this is Nikki Ballou, the head coach of the Finish Line Thinking program. You know, a little while ago, I was coming across some obstacles in my life and in my business. And like you, I wasn't making as much headway in them as I wanted to. So I decided to do something that you may be thinking about. I hired my very own mindset coach, my very own business coach, because like you, I come across issues that I need to deal with. When I hired this fellow, he really is fantastic at what he does. And he had me take on an exercise, a very powerful exercise. And the exercise he had me take on was he had me think about my ex-wife. Because, I was having a bit of a hard time getting past certain things with respect to my ex-wife and the relationship that I had with her. So what he wanted me to do was write down a list of 50 things that were great about her and 50 good things that came out of her and I splitting up. It was really easy for me to do the first list of 50 things because there's a lot of great things about my ex-wife. She's actually a wonderful woman. But the second list I thought would be a lot harder because I wasn't the one who really wanted to break up our marriage in the first place. And, I was thinking to myself, what could be good that came out of this? But as I sat down to do the exercise, something came over me. And I actually saw that this was a very powerful exercise. The very first thing that came to mind for me as I started to write down the list was that if I hadn't split up from my ex-wife, I wouldn't have met the new lady in my life, Teresa. Teresa and I are a really great fit for one another. She's amazing. She's a much better fit for me than my ex-wife. No disrespect to my ex-wife. She's a wonderful woman. But Teresa and I are a much better fit. And if I wasn't split up from her, I'd have never met her. Let's face it, I'm the kind of man who's absolutely faithful to his wife and to the woman that he's involved in a relationship with. I wouldn't have even noticed Teresa, let alone be with her. So that's one good thing that came out of her and I splitting up. But it's the next few items that I wrote down that really got me. Out of my wife and I splitting up, I actually became quite an activist for families staying together. And when I ran into people who had children whose marriages were facing difficulty or even on the rocks or about to split up, I really started to take a powerful stand for those people to take action to help put things together before it was too late, before they were in a situation similar to the one that I'd been in. I had a friend, and I've changed all the names to protect confidentiality. My friend Aaron and his wife, Sandy, and then my friend Jim and his wife, Jane, and then my friend Andy and his wife, Sarah. These were all people that were about to get split up. And as a result of me meeting them, I helped them put their marriages back together. And the way that I did it is I introduced them to the great relationship therapist, Owen Williams, of Relationship Excellence. And I also sent them to a powerful program called the Sterling Men's Weekend. And the women I sent to a powerful program called the Sterling Women's Weekend. And it really taught them how to be better in relationship with one another. But there was another person, a fellow that I didn't personally introduce to either Owen or to the Sterling Men's Weekend. That was the one that really got me. This guy's name, I'm going to call him Rick. And his wife, I'm going to call her Ann. He wasn't someone I knew, but he was someone who was about to split up with his wife. And another person who was a part of the Sterling Men's group with me, a guy by the name of James. James knew this fellow Rick really, really well. And at the last possible minute, James got Rick involved in the Sterling Men's Weekend. Rick went to the Sterling Men's Weekend, did it, got a lot out of it. When he came back, he was able to put his marriage with Ann back together again. It was very powerful. Unfortunately, this story took a twist that none of us would want. Beautiful Ann had had cancer. And it had gone into remission, but it came back with a vengeance several months after the two of them got back together again. And sadly, Ann died. But when she passed away with her loving husband by her side, with her children around her. And her children knew that mom and dad loved each other, and she knew that her man loved her and that she could trust him to look after her children when she was gone. This would have never been possible if James hadn't introduced Rick to the Sterling Men's Weekend. And James would have never introduced Rick to the Sterling Men's Weekend if not for me. You see, when James did the weekend, the first person he spoke to was me. And I'm the one who really stood for him and enrolled him to join our men's group and our men's circle. And as a result of me doing that, he joined our circle. And as a result of him being in the circle, he stood for his friend Rick and got him involved. And that's what allowed Rick to put his family back together again to heal them. This is powerful. This is poignant. This is the power of taking a stand for somebody. None of this would have happened. None of this if my wife and I hadn't split up. This is the silver lining. This is the blessing. And this is the power of having a great coach understand what's not working for you with the way that you're thinking and helping you shift your mindset. That's what my coach did for me. And that's what we do in the Finish Line Thinking program for our clients, what we could do for you. Thank you for listening.